Alright. Nothing revealed right away, which is really, really interesting. You hasn't started scanning yet. We'll hope that changes momentarily. The captain, on the other hand, moving out west, he's got a nice field of iron that he's found, some aluminum, just a good solid mix of resources in this area. Makes me very, very tempted to do something like Found Expansive right next to that source of iron. You has been expanding out in the other direction, has found another nice field of iron, but fewer resources nearby. Also worth noting, this map is already small, and we have a huge field of these useless spires down here that are just going to make things a little bit more difficult. Both players actually choosing scientific in this circumstance I found very interesting. Leyla in particular trying to get close to some water, going to be valuing these tiles quite heavily.
That will be useful.
Soren, on the other hand, our captain, has just done the usual, found next to some iron, throw down some steel mills on it, secure some aluminum. Both of them choosing about the same type of tiles to take. Slight advantage to the captain right now, although interestingly enough, he seems to have forgotten about the fact that he is scientific and has thrown down iron mines. He's getting that fixed up a bit now. And you, on the other hand, threw down steel mills immediately. I may actually just call her Leyla this whole time, because saying that you is... Look, it's weird, guys. We're just going to go with Leyla. Leyla remembered that she could build steel mills right away, so she's got a slight edge in that production. The captain's steel just coming up now.
The black market is online.
Black market's online for the captain, coming up for Leyla in 1 minute. That is a huge difference in 1v1, I want to point out. And the captain also will have access to that extra claim when he reaches level 2, which I think he may be able to do first, purely because you will have to ship her resources in from so far away. Both of them, actually it seems, having sold off their resources, purchasing up some steel, making sure they have aluminum, and pushing for that upgrade as fast as they can. Auction on the pirates? That could go really either way, but honestly, Leyla has to take it. She is going to be in a lot of trouble if she just lets that go for cheap. And this is the real risk of putting your steel mills so far away from you, especially in a 1v1 scenario, is those steel mills are worth so much, and if the pirates get let go for anything under like 14, 16, 20,000, it could be disaster. Soren not going to push too hard. He's going to let it go for 12. He could have pushed that a bit higher, I think, but forcing out the 12 is reasonable, especially considering he's already causing so many problems by just securing these 3 water tiles that Leyla was going to be relying on. Or I guess he's only taken the 2. Where's this last thing going? Probably hitting this medium silicon.
Pirates.
I believe, yep, he has one more claim due to founding second. He's going to use that to secure a geotherm. I think the only geotherm on the map. So that's probably a very good decision on his part. Pirates are going to go down on the aluminum. The only thing she can really steal right now. Not a bad decision at all, because neither of these players has secured a large amount of aluminum income. So aluminum's probably going to be a bit pricey, and having access to all of it, or at least most of it for Leyla, will help her potentially get to HQ level 3 before Soren can pull it off, especially as we see she's securing a little more steel income. So Soren has secured potentially later high-value resources, whereas Leyla has chosen the option of moving into resources that she'll be able to use to get more and more claims more and more quickly, potentially. We do see a nice little surplus on chemicals. That might push these players even closer to the patent lab than they start out at as a scientific player. Like, chemicals being that cheap really encourages you towards something like the patent lab, something like the engineering lab, because it's almost free at that point to just pick up your first patent. It costs nothing. Players should almost certainly be purchasing some of these up before the colony forces them back, and potentially think about a move toward a patent lab or an engineering lab. That is very, very interesting at this stage of the game. The captain secured this silicon tile, has not yet put a quarry on it. Almost certainly a mistake, and Leyla has chosen to actually mutiny his electrolysis reactor away from him. We'll have to see how that works out. Usually something I advocate against, but certainly in this situation, it might be worthwhile just taking away his fuel, taking away his oxygen, keeping it for yourself. They're both competing for those resources, so it could be quite valuable. On the other hand, another option might have been to save that mutiny for after these pirates come. Go ahead and secure it now when it's very, very cheap. Hold on to it. Once the pirates have stopped bringing you in aluminum, you simply mutiny this aluminum tile and get massive adjacency bonuses and keep all that aluminum for yourself still, which is extremely pricey this game.
6,000, 7.
Virtual reality has popped up as an auction. I think this could actually be worth quite a bit this game. We have scientific players, which means the price on water might get a little more out of control than usual. But generally speaking, life support isn't going to go as high because scientific players have such an easy time moving into it compared to others. And so that pleasure dome might be worth a bit more than usual. Certainly could make for an interesting game. Soren, by the way, has purchased another claim and claimed this high water tile. That's certainly going to be bringing in quite a lot of money right now. Both players neglecting power at first. Soren just now getting this geotherm established, spending the money on the goon squad. That's why geotherms can be a bit awkward. They take a lot of work to get up, and you generally don't make a lot of money off of them by the time you actually construct them, because this will only give him a surplus of about 0.5 power at this stage in the game. It's about $40. Not a whole lot. Sorry, about $60. Not a whole lot to work with right now. Especially because it's not actually going into his funds. Pirate's still just chugging away because this aluminum is not coming in very quickly, completely shutting Soren out of it. Going to be a massive problem for him. Leyla, on the other hand, certainly raking in quite a lot of cash from that. And just having a little bit of trouble here. Apparently this steel mill is not on top of an iron tile, which is a bit unfortunate. So she secured the high iron, but might have been a better option to go ahead and go for this nice triangle here. Hopefully she'll get that sorted before too terribly long and she can kind of get her steel rolling in. On the other hand, steel's so expensive, it might not even be worth to send the iron out, along with the power cost. Oh, that is awful. An aluminum surplus. That is great for Soren, awful for Leyla. She had almost complete control over the aluminum market, could easily use a mutiny to secure that, but now it's just become so much less valuable just due to that random event. That's very unfortunate for her. She does have a nice little solar panel down, providing a solid amount of power. And I believe another solar panel here on top of this water. I'm going to cut Soren off from his adjacency bonuses. He'll have to do a little more rearranging if he wants to be pulling in a large amount of water. So she's making a solid amount of, or reducing her debt significantly with her power income. Soren not doing that so much, instead committing his tiles elsewhere. Leyla's still going for this mutiny on the aluminum, despite the shortage. Could still be despite the surplus. Could still be a strong move. We can see aluminum still going up, still a very, very important resource. But she doesn't have the other resources she needs yet to upgrade, so I don't know if this is going to end up being worthwhile. High aluminum tile. This, honestly, it seems like a game of chicken to me. I guess aluminum is worth quite a bit right now, but iron is worth quite a bit right now. But it's not going to stay that way very long. So in that situation, you're more just trying to force your opponent to bid as high as you can, but let him take the tile, because it's probably not going to be worth 12,000, realistically. Putting a steel mill down on that, I certainly don't agree with. Steel mill is going to give you half a steel a second from this tile at the cost of a massive amount of power. Probably not worthwhile. On the other hand, an iron mine, that's going to be about $100 a second income. If you go ahead and put an iron mine there, far more valuable due to getting so much iron off of those high iron tiles. She does, interestingly enough, she did switch over this tile to giving her some iron. So that was a very, very nice move. The captain, spotting it, goes ahead and power surges it. Very, very reasonable. Thankfully, she's scientific. She should recover from that quite cleanly. I think the next goal here is going to be a nice transition into food from both players. Soren keeps purchasing those claims, has secured himself another water tile,
market is online,
which is going to be very, very nice for him. He already has a hydroponic farm there. Not a great tile right now because of the power cost being reasonably high, especially at night, and the fact that it's only producing half a food a second, but better than nothing for sure. Glass of Soren's getting frozen out. Not a big surprise. Unfortunately, an EMP rather than a power surge. Power surge might have been a bit more effective, but a very understandable play as both players have moved into that glass market. We also have an EMP. Nope, that's that EMP again. The game's playing with me, guys. Keeps lying to me. Another power surge, though, down on this steel production, down against this iron. That's really going to hurt this aluminum monopoly and force Leyla to keep selling it just in order to kind of stay afloat. Thankfully, she does have a really good amount of iron coming in. She did switch this tile over to iron rather than steel. That's fantastic. These are generating huge amounts of money for her, potentially, as Soren hasn't moved into that market at all. Soren, instead, making a very early play on what he has right now. He doesn't want to expand anymore. He's just going to be trying and make this stock purchase happen. He doesn't have the funds yet. I'm a little concerned about where his income is at. He doesn't seem to have a consistent amount of resources coming in, but he might be able to make the push. It'll be a bit of an extended one. This is all he can do for now. We'll have to see what happens with these glass shipments come in and when this food shipment comes in, and we'll have to see what he can do with those. You already up to level 4, trying very, very hard to make that move in the food that we were talking about. So we'll see how that goes. Pirates are extremely valuable at this stage of the game. These should not be going for any less than 20,000, in my opinion. There are some fantastic targets for pirates right now. You have these glass furnaces are going to be great pirate targets. This food that just came online, great pirate targets. Absolutely no reason not to go to the wall for these. I believe Soren is going to pick those up for 12,000. So that's very, very nice for him. I would be very surprised if he does not target this food with those, because that's going to be fantastic.
I hate those filthy bandits.
What have we got? We have it instead. Pirates are going to go down on the steel. Understandable, but not what I would do, for sure, for sure. It's going to get him that money faster, so the reason he might be thinking this route is because he's already started in for the kill. He wants to pull in as much money as he can, as fast as he can, before you gets to take advantage of any of her extra tiles. So that is why he might be thinking along those lines. You, on the other hand, focused a lot on expanding, focused on trying to make that aluminum play happen. The surplus just hit a little bit too hard, and now she's out of money to really strike back at Soren. Especially with these pirates getting in the way. If this food could have gotten online, if she could have lasted long enough for that, she might have had a shot, but at this point, her debt's just already at 100,000. Soren's very, very close to being able to finish the game out. He doesn't have to push much farther. And I have a feeling this game's just about over. It's mostly, honestly, this water production right now that's giving him money. There's not a lot else going on for him that's actually coming into his base at the moment. Food's taken forever, glass is taken forever, as they do when they're away from your colony. And his electrolysis isn't even online anymore. But that's going to do it. Good effort from both players, but Soren ends up taking it. Certainly an interesting little game. It is worth noting the captain did have to buy up a large amount of aluminum that game. He also got to sell a lot. This was probably in response to whatever store he had at the surplus. But he had to buy a lot as well. Quite a lot of steel purchased and sold as well. Not a whole lot of money being made, honestly. Just 100,000. Just barely enough to get the job done, realistically. But that's all you need. Leyla, on the other hand, she ended up only making about 40,000. She was ending up committing a lot toward future resources, and Soren decided to just go for the kill the second he saw blood in the water. Certainly a much better decision, I think, in a 1v1. And, you know, he was probably actually right about those pirate positionings. It wasn't something I agreed with initially, but having seen it work, I think it was the right decision. With black market effects, we can see Leyla with a couple of mutinies and an EMP. Very reasonable. The captain, on the other hand, 2 claim purchases, 2 power surges, which we put to great use, and a goon squad for his geotherm. Not a surprise at all. So that's going to wrap up this game. Hopefully, I think they're probably going to host another one very, very quickly. I believe we are doing a best of 3 to see who's going to advance in that last bracket position. And so let's hop out of here and get on over to that.